Right now, you are touching something. This screen, a cup, the arm of a chair, someone, maybe, sitting beside you. You feel it, the weight, the warmth, the solid press of the world against your skin, the most ordinary sensation there is. And it is a lie. You have never touched anything in your life. Not once. Not the screen, not the cup, not the hand of a single person you have ever loved. And by the end of this, you will understand why, and why it might be the most beautiful thing about being alive. 3 things. What touch actually is. Why real contact is impossible, not difficult, impossible, forbidden by the deepest laws of the universe, and what that means for every hand you have ever held. Of all your senses, touch feels like the honest one. Your eyes can be fooled, a mirage, an illusion, a magic trick. Your ears invent sounds in a silent room, but touch feels like bedrock. When your skin meets the world, surely that is real. Matter meeting matter, solid against solid. This is the story your brain tells you 1,000 times a day without you ever questioning it. A beautiful, seamless story. And it is completely false.
To see why, we have to go smaller than you have ever imagined. Start with your fingertip pressed against a table. Zoom in, past the ridges of your skin, into a single cell. Further, into the molecules that build it. Further still, down to one single atom, the thing you are made of. Trillions upon trillions of them arranged into the shape of a person. And when you finally arrive at one and look inside, you find almost nothing at all.
An atom is very nearly empty. At its center, a tiny, dense nucleus, and around it, at an enormous distance, a faint blur of electrons. How enormous? If the nucleus were a single marble at the center of a football stadium, the nearest electron would be a fleck of dust up in the back row. Everything in between? Empty. About 99.9999% of you is nothing. You are not the solid thing you feel yourself to be. You are a vast, mostly empty scaffolding held in the shape of a human being.
Which leaves a genuinely strange question. If you are almost entirely empty space, and the table is almost entirely empty space, then why, when you place your hand down, do the 2 clouds of nothing not simply drift through each other? Why does your hand not pass straight through the wood? The answer is that your hand never actually arrives. Every atom is wrapped in that cloud of electrons, and every electron carries a negative charge. And here is the rule the universe never breaks. Like charges repel. As your hand descends, the electrons in your skin come close to the electrons in the wood, and they push, not gently. The closer they get, the harder they shove, the force climbing violently toward infinity. Long before any 2 atoms could meet, they are driven apart. And beneath even that, a stranger, deeper law, the Pauli exclusion principle, and it says something almost unbelievable. No 2 electrons in the universe are allowed to occupy the exact same state in the same place at the same time. Not that they choose not to, not that it is hard. Reality itself simply forbids it. The universe has a rule against two things ever being in precisely the same spot, and that rule is part of why anything feels solid at all. So they never touch. Your atoms and the table's atoms come close and stop, suspended, held apart across a tiny, unbreachable gap. How tiny? Smaller than 1/1,000,000th of a millimeter, far too small to ever see or feel, but always there, in every point of contact, everywhere, always, a gap that never, ever closes.
Which means you have never felt anything directly in your life. What you feel is not the object, it is force. The pressure of electrons refusing electrons, traveling up your nerves as electrical signals into your brain, where it is rebuilt into a warm, convincing fiction your mind labels solid, smooth, touching. The feeling of contact is a story your brain paints over a force that is actually pushing the world away from you. And if that is true for the table, it is true for everything and everyone.
So sit with this. The very first time someone held you, a newborn, brand new to the world, their skin never met yours. There was a gap. Your mother never once touched your face. Every embrace you have ever given, every hand you have ever held, the hand of someone you loved, held tightly at the very end so they would not be alone as they left. You did not touch them, not really. Matter has never, in the entire history of the universe, once met matter. Not for you, not for anyone, not in the whole long history of love. And yet, look again at what we have found. If real contact was always impossible, if it never once happened for anyone, then the closeness you have felt your entire life was never made of contact in the first place. It could not have been. What held you to the people you love was never matter colliding with matter. It was force, a field reaching invisibly across the empty space between you, an attraction powerful enough to hold two people close and to hold them always just barely apart.
The gap, it turns out, was never the failure of touch. The gap is where touch actually lives. To reach for another person is to lean across a distance you can never truly close, and to lean anyway. To love someone is a quiet act of defiance against the laws of physics. The decision to build warmth and meaning and a whole shared life across a space the universe refuses to let disappear. You have never touched anyone you love, and you have loved them anyway with everything you have. That stubborn reaching across the void may be the most human thing there has ever been.
This is the human equation, where the science of everything quietly turns into the truth of being someone. We will be here every day, finding the place where a fact about the universe becomes a fact about you. If a gap you can never cross somehow made you feel a little less alone tonight, then stay. There is so much more.